Welcome to the Mindly.Social podcast with Joe and Jane. I'm Jane. That's Joe.
Hi, Jane.
Hi, Joe. How are you doing today?
I'm doing lovely this holiday season.
Happy holidays, Joe.
Yeah, happy holidays.
This podcast is going to come out right before New Year's and right after Christmas. So, happy holidays to all the listeners.
Yeah, happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, happy holidays. Joe, usually you are teaching me something when we start out these podcasts, but I thought today, I thought I would teach you something. How do you feel about that?
Ooh, I'm excited.
So, how do you feel about the term influencer?
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm gonna go with indifferent, just to not offend anybody.
Indifferent. Yeah. So, did you know that there are actually different levels of influencer?
Oh, wow, that bothers me more now.
Yeah, so there are, let me tell you what the different levels of influencer are. There's the nano influencer, which is 1,000 followers to 10,000 followers.
Oh my gosh, there's actual tiers.
Names.
Okay.
Yeah. There's the micro influencer, which is 10,000 followers to 100,000 followers. The macro influencer, which is 100,000 to 1,000,000 followers. And then the mega influencer, which is 1,000,000 plus.
Wow.
So there are 4 tiers of influencers. And
The first 3 sounded like official, and then when you get to mega influencer, that sounds like they just gave up. They're like, mega, just put mega in front of it, sure.
Yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, and so the mega influencers, that's going to be like your Kylie Jenners, your Billie Eilishes. Those are going to be the people that, your celebrities. And then you got your micros and your nanos, and those are going to be like us, right? That's going to be like those people that are just hanging out and gathering followers every day. So I kind of want to talk about those people because I asked you a question a couple of days ago, and the question I asked you was, do you know what the Dunbar number is?
I remember you asking me this, and I was like, don't tell me, let's save that for the podcast. Somebody else mentioned it earlier this morning, and I was like, what are they talking about? I was like, ooh, I'm going to learn about that later.
The Dunbar number is a really interesting fact, or it's a theory. So it was developed by an anthropologist named Robin Dunbar in the 1990s. And I should say that not everybody believes that the Dunbar number is real before I begin saying this. So a lot of
Is this like a controversial thing, or is this just like a...
It's not controversial. It's just one of those things that not a lot of people believe in.
Okay.
So what the Dunbar number is Robin Dunbar believes that there's a cognitive limit to the number of people that you can have in your inner circle. So he thinks that there's only... the number is somewhere between 100 and 250 people, but the Dunbar number is 150.
Wow.
Yeah. So he believes that you can have 150 people within your circle, within your village, so to speak. And that once you reach that 150 people, you can no longer cognitively have more people come into your village.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I kind of like that idea. I like the idea behind that idea, I guess.
The idea behind the idea is good, but how does it equate to when we look at the numbers behind social media? Because even I have more than 150 people currently following. I have over 700 people following me. I think you have over 1,000 people following you. Isn't that correct?
I mean, I'm not keeping track, but it's like 2,500-ish.
Yeah, okay. So if we apply the Dunbar number to social media, we've already blown that out of the water, right? So how does that affect us as people?
So, I mean, now that I know that this is an actual, I guess, theory, or this is an actual, idea, I think MySpace had it right when you had the top 8. I think there needs to be tiers, wow, this might get actually more controversial than I planned it. Like, there should be tiers of like who you follow. Like, I guess Facebook kind of does it where you can have like, these are my VIPs, these are my immediate family, these are my, you can set up groups and stuff like that.
Doesn't Facebook call those circles?
I actually don't know. I've not been
on
Facebook
I don't know.
for years. So,
I actually haven't been on Facebook in quite some time.
I just remembered that when I was on Facebook, like I would add somebody as a friend or something like that, or I'd follow them or whatever the terminology is on Facebook. And they're like, which group do you want to put them in? I'm like, right. I don't know. Just show me their stuff. I don't know. But knowing about this number now, like I feel like there should be different tiers of follows and followers. Like, because like I have, like I said before, I have over 2,000 followers right now, which is like way more than I could have ever imagined. And I'm sure a lot of them don't really care what I have to say. They just saw, hey, you're the admin, I'm going to follow you.
Right.
So at the same time, I'm following like 90 people. And then even within those 90 people, there's like, I have a list of like, okay, I'm following these people because I care what they say. I'm following these people because oh no, this is going to sound weird. I follow some people because like a social contract is in place. Like I know you outside of Mastodon, so I'm going to follow you on Mastodon because if not, then it'd be weird.
Right.
So like there are definitely some people that I follow that I have muted that I can't see anything they post, but I'm like, I have to follow them because of, a pre-existing friendship or yeah. So I'm like, I can't not follow them because that's weird if I talk to them outside of here. They're like, why aren't you following me?
So you have those set up in lists?
No, they are literally just followers, and I just have some of them muted, some of them I don't see boosts from. I mean, yeah, it would be really nice if there was circles, like I could have like a top 8, but yeah, I guess the equivalent would be I have a couple people that I do have the bell icon, so I get notifications whenever they post. So I guess that's the equivalent.
There's a lot of things about Mastodon now that I'm, a couple of weeks in, almost, I think I'm a month in now, that just feature-wise that I wish I could change. We were talking about the threading issue with conversations, which is a huge issue when you have multiple people talking to you. Threading is such a huge issue because people get so confused as to who you're talking to.
Yes.
That's an issue I wish would change. I wish that you could lock your account. I know that there are some features to combat harassment, but I don't think that they're good enough, and we've discussed that privately, but I want to discuss that more on the podcast when we have an opportunity. Mm-hmm. But definitely I think that the harassment tools could be better. So now that we're a few weeks in, I'm seeing the flaws in Mastodon, which is really interesting because over the past week I've been transcribing episodes 1 and 2, and during episode 1 I said Mastodon has changed my life for the better, and now that I'm a month into it, I still feel that way. But Mastodon's flaws are showing a lot more to me than they were at that time. Yeah,
when it's all new and shiny, like it's like when you move into a new apartment, everything's covered in a fresh coat of paint and everything looks good, and then after you're there for a month, you're like, wait a minute, why did they paint over this outlet cover or something weird like that you don't notice before?
Or this cabinet is creaking, or
or that smoke detector is fake.
Or they painted over a cockroach.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so there are things about Mastodon that I'm finding not great. For instance, there's been some harassment issues that I wish weren't there. And how do you combat harassment on Mastodon currently?
So it's it's definitely lacking a lot of features that people have been requesting for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I was actually just reading an article last night about a lot of features that are requested that are not being implemented because of, for lack of a better term, politics. Like the developers just don't want to include stuff like that, which I don't want to like get on a tangent right now, but I feel like there's definitely a lot of room for improvement, and I think that a lot of the tools that we currently have are not adequate for the type of harassment that people deal with. As an admin, I get a lot of reports of, I guess, subtle harassment where it's not like to the point where they're attacking somebody specifically. They're just like, what's the word? They're being hostile for seemingly no reason, and we're like, okay, that's just, that makes no sense. Why would they go off on this person? And it looks like it's targeted harassment, but it's just them venting about something. And it's really hard for us to determine, okay, are we just going to ban this person because they're just yelling at whoever's listening and whoever's listening is being offended by it? So there's that stuff, which is definitely more subtle and harder to deal with. But I think the targeted harassment, that's easier for us to deal with. We just, ban them outright. That's, well, I say it's easier for us to deal with. It's easier for us to make that call of just ban them outright. Sadly, those people just make new accounts and just find other ways to harass people. There definitely needs to be better platform-wide tools to prevent that kind of targeted harassment.
If you could suggest tools to combat harassment, what is just one tool that you would suggest?
I think that each account should have the ability to limit who contacts them and, like you said, kind of lock down the account. I guess to get more granular, it would be really nice if each account was able to set up like a allow list. We're saying, okay, only people from these instances are allowed to contact me. All right, only these people in these instances can see my account. Basically, people can choose who can contact them, and then they can continue to decide who can contact them based on stuff that they see versus just blocking people who harass them first. Don't give them the chance to harass them. Basically, have people prove that they're, good people before they can contact you, type thing. So that, I think that would be the one granular thing that I would, the one specific tool that I would implement is an allow list for who can contact people.
What can we as users do to make our wishes known as far as getting better tools, as far as making Mastodon a better place?
So the two things that come to mind immediately would be Mastodon has a GitHub where they basically allow you to submit, they're called issues, where you can submit feature requests, bug reports, stuff like that. And a lot of people have been using that to say, hey, this is the problem we need fixed, please fix it. Right, last time I checked, there was over 3,000 issues submitted though, so how viable that is right now, I don't know. The other thing is Mastodon actually has a Discord where anybody could join it and basically have a discussion there, and people have brought up issues there, and people have, not specifically like developers or whatever, but people have basically like talked it out and tried to come up with ideas and brainstorm together and basically narrow down what could be done to fix those issues. It's all whether the developers want to implement these fixes or these tools or anything like that, though. I see a lot of people posting on Mastodon. I see a lot of stuff in the federated timeline. You've brought stuff to my attention where people are like, hey, this is a problem, it needs to be fixed. The federated timeline, or just posting in general, that's definitely a good way to get some sort of visibility to it sometimes. But I've noticed that a lot of times when people go, hey, there's a problem with moderation, or there's a problem with harassment, or there's a problem with racism, it ends up just being the comments filled with victim blaming or something like that, and that just makes it worse. So I think going straight to the developers and saying, hey, this needs to be fixed, letting them know that it's becoming a problem, because I highly doubt the developers spend enough time in the federated timeline to see all these issues and stuff like that. So the GitHub issues and the Discord would definitely be more visible to the developers than posting it on Mastodon itself.
Yeah, one of the major issues that I see, especially in the federated, is that when you post an issue, people will just say, if you have a problem with it, start your own instance, or if you have a problem with it, block them. And those responses don't help.
Yes, I totally agree. So not to cut you off, but the article I was reading last night, which it was basically a history of Mastodon, and they were talking about these same things that you're seeing in like 2017, 2018, where somebody was like, hey, we have a racism problem, we need better tools to fix it. And everyone's response was, well, just code something. write your own plugin or something like that. And they're like, I shouldn't have to be a developer to fix being harassed. Like,
Correct.
that's not right.
Yeah, people tend to put the onus on victims a lot. And this comes into a lot of what I used to do. I used to advocate a lot for rape survivors on Twitter, and I don't have to do that very much on Mastodon anymore because it doesn't have quite the same problems that Twitter did.
Mhm.
But you run into a lot of the same problems with harassment that you do in that atmosphere, in that people just tend to want to pass the buck, right?
Mhm.
They just tend to want to go, well, if you have a problem with this, this is your problem. And it's not, it's everybody's problem. And we're seeing this. If you saw it in 2018 and it's still going on in 2022, there's clearly a systematic problem and not an individualistic problem. So we need to fix it.
So as you're talking through this with me, the wheels are turning in my brain and I'm thinking more about it. And it's actually very interesting because in the beginning, when I first joined Mastodon, like actually even recently, there's I'm going to go off on a little tangent, but it definitely connects back. So don't worry about that. A lot of people were talking about how you should post videos on YouTube because like it uses up storage and bandwidth for the admins and it makes the cost of the server more expensive, blah, blah, blah. And my response was always, that's the admin's problems to worry about. That's not the user's problems to worry about.
Right.
And I think it pertains here too. Like the users are the ones being harassed. Like that should not be their problem to worry about. That should really be the admins and the developers. And I kind of want to roll back the statement I said previously, where I think now the correct course of action when people are dealing with stuff like this or being the target of stuff like this, I think it is probably better to actually go to the admin of your instance. And I think the admins, myself included, like we need to get together and be like, hey, we need to form sort of like almost like an oversight committee where we're like, hey, these issues are really plaguing our users. You need to fix this or we're out of here. And like, I think that would force the Mastodon admins to listen more if all the admins banded together and say, hey, we're not happy with this. Our users are, upset with this. I don't know about how the other admins are doing it, but like right now I contribute to their Patreon on the Mastodon Patreon. So like, I'm sure a lot of other admins are also supporting them financially. And if we decided to walk, that would actually be, a relatively big hit, I would think, for them, assuming that everyone's contributing. So like, I think the admins are the ones that need to speak up more than the users at this point.
That's a really amazing point, because at this point, the admins are the ones with the power, and really, the admins are speaking for them.
Yes, because when I was reading the article sorry to interrupt you, but when I was reading the article last night about the history of Mastodon and everything, and I've seen that a lot of really bad stuff has happened on the platform, and a lot of the political decisions that the developers have made that aren't in the interest of the users, they just made them because they disagreed with them, and that's not really their job. That's neither here nor there, but basically I was looking and there's alternatives to Mastodon that are, just as good, sometimes even better. They have better moderation features and stuff like that. And we could switch over to that easily and be free of Mastodon in general. And with that ability, like the admins, they definitely have the power. They can definitely, leave Mastodon behind. And then the Mastodon developers are stuck with, all the problematic and the headache instances that everyone else just blocks anyways. So.
Right. And frankly, if the developers aren't willing to do what the users need them to do, why would the users want to stay?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not just advocating that we like force their hand, but like, I think we need to be more vocal as admins to let the developers know these are the real issues. Like I don't care about the edit button. The edit button was nice. I'd much rather have better moderation tools than an edit button. Like they're focusing on all these things to go, oh, look how pretty and shiny this is. Well, that's nice, but like this, we had like 10 people quit because they're being harassed. Like those 10 people are way more important than that edit button you did or whatever.
It almost felt like that edit button came as a result of something that Twitter wanted, and not as something that was needed necessarily. Does that make sense?
Yes, it definitely makes sense.
Because Twitter asked for that edit button for a very long time. And so then Mastodon got that edit button, right? And then, but Twitter also has much better moderation features than Mastodon has. So
Let me clarify that a little bit. It has better moderation features per user, not the actual moderation on the platform. I think that needs to be specified.
Correct. And certainly the moderation has gotten much worse. But yes, so it almost felt like that edit button was meant to draw certain users over and not as an actual function feature that was needed.
I'm not too sure about that. I think the issue is, and this goes back to the original conversation of, I think the developers only see what affects them.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to be nice about this, but I'm pretty sure that whoever spent time creating the edit button doesn't have to deal with the same kind of DMs that people of marginalized groups have to deal with. So I'm sure if they were getting the same DMs or getting the same, the same attention that they're getting, that the marginalized groups are getting, the edit button would probably be less of a priority for them.
Right.
Do you want to transition over to something happy now?
Yeah, let's transition. I know what I want to transition into. A random toot of the week. Random toot of the week.
Okay, cool. Just jump into it. I love it.
That's the remix. Random toot of the week. Random toot of the week.
I spend a lot of time thinking about how we segue into topics, and I just love it when my co-host just shouts it out, and I go, "Oh, cool! That's the segue. I love it." It makes editing a lot easier too.
Also, what's a segue? I don't know what that is.
Is that the thing that you ride around on? No.
Yeah. Joe, what's your random toot of the week?
So my random toot of the week is I was debating on whether to say this because it might be I don't want to say controversial, but it might be a little sensitive. But there's a person that I follow that I've actually I've posted about and said, hey, you need to follow this person. They're hilarious. And their name is stone_diva_. And that's diva with an E. And they posted something yesterday that I laughed so hard about. If Texas legalized marijuana, there'd be less gun violence and more barbecue. And that just the barbecue part, I lost it when I read that. I was like, oh my God, that's so good.
Clap.
Clap, clap.
Clap, clap.
Wait, isn't the clap, clap supposed to be when we cut stuff?
Well, no, I'm clapping for the toot of the week.
Oh, okay.
Clap, clap.
I was so confused. And all of this is staying in the edit. So what is your toot of the week?
My toot of the week comes from Dropped Mike, and that's at rebrafsim at universidad.com. I don't know how to say his username.
I put the links to everybody's profile in the description, so everyone's good.
Thank God.
Yes.
And the toot is, I often confuse reptiles and amphibians. Actually, if I'm being brutally honest, they pretty much never know what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's too good.
So that's my toot of the week.
Oh, I apologize for laughing into the microphone. That was too good.
Oh,
wow.
So I guess we end this now, huh?
Yeah, I was going to bring on Henry Cavill, but it looks like we don't have time for Henry Cavill. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I guess I'll just have to go to his house and spend time with him there.
Okay, thanks for listening, everyone. Have a happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Mindly.Social podcast with Joe and Jane. The music of the Mindly.Social podcast is brought to you by Pixabay. The intro music is Energetic Hip Hop by Skillcell. The background music is Jazzy Abstract Beat by Coma Media. You can find us on Mastodon. Joe is at Mindly.Social /@Cujo. Jane is at Mindly.Social /@Janie. Thank you again and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.